Hello everybody, how are you? Sharon Durbin Graves, Painting with Acrylics 101.com, here in my Kentucky studio. Last week on our video we drew the apple. Today we're going to paint the apple. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get busy with it. Okay, so here's my apple sitting right here. I should have another table here where I could put it and do a setup, but I don't. So back here, I'm going to draw the apple. It's got a little hump right there, another little hump right there. It's got the center is right about in here. I don't like that there, but that'll get taken out with paint. And then it's coming down. There, it's going to go up a little flatter and then pop out here. There. Okay, so we're good with that. I had to set up a new palette. I haven't painted for a little while, and so most everything had dried up. I'm picking out a brush over here, and I'm going to go for a synthetic flat. I've tapped it off in the water. I'm tapping it off on the paper towel. Okay, so I think I just hit my camera. Oh well. We're going to start with the dark part in the back. And so I'm going to pick up some, I have a brand new palette. Woo! I'm picking up some alizarin crimson. I'm going to work back here. You'll see some little dots of water on my palette. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that to make it opaque. You know that's my favorite word. I'm going to add a little bit of the purple, a little bit, out here in the corner, okay? And I'm going to go with a little more of the red. I'm even going to add some of this red, well, my brain, cadmium red. My brain just went dead. So I'm going to be back over here in the corner. I almost started to paint on the drawing. Okay, so it's coming back over here. This is the darkest part, except for this piece down in here. So I'm even going to just pick up a little bit of purple. I'm not mixing much. I'm not going to blend much. I want to stick that down there, in there. Okay. Now I'm going to come out with my lighter red. Out this way. I don't want to play around too much. Just picking up paint here. I'm not again, just picking up paint, not mixing anything. Okay, so now as I'm looking at my apple, I've got in my dark color. Now I'm going to start picking up some of this red, the cad red. I'm going to work over here in the corner of my palette. Add a little bit of white to that, just a little bit, not much. Okay, so now I want to blend this in here like this. There we go. Now we're going to come down this way. And there's some coming down in here. Okay, so now I am going to rinse my brush. I want that red out of there because I'm going to pick up this green and red are complements, so they gray each other out. I don't want to put brown on there. I want green. Okay, so here comes my green. I'm going to pick up the green, pull it over here on my palette, add a little white to it. And I'm even going to pick up a little bit of this Hooker's green out here in the side. Okay, so I've got two values right there. So down here on the bottom, I keep trying to paint on the drawing. Oh gosh. I'm going to come up this way. There we go. Now I'm going to go straight into that lighter color. And I'm going to pull that on up into that. Okay, so now we have to figure out how we're going to get these two to blend together better. So I'm going to rinse out my brush again, tapping it off on the paper towel. It's not 100% clean, but it's clean enough. Okay, so I want some warmer color in my red, so I'm going to come over here and I'm adding some orange to this side. See, I'm not trying to mix this whole thing up here because you can't. And I'm going to add a little more cad red to that. I want to warm it up. I'm going to come in here like this, bring it. There we go, that's looking better. Just because I made that deep there, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way, okay? Now I'm going to add a touch of white out here. I'm even going to add a little yellow to that. I want it to warm up right around in here where okay, where that's going to be. Now I'm going to take that off my brush, cleaning it off. Now I'm coming back to my green. I'm going to add some yellow to that green. Okay, so now I'm going to pull up into the red. See, this is still kind of wet, so it's kind of dragging that red down in there. I would never, ever try to blend that away. To me, that is too real. When you're looking at the apple, you see all sorts, this is a fake apple, but you'll still see all sorts of things in there, you know, so various colors. So I would never try to get rid of that. I'm going to take this up in here a little further. There we go. It's looking better to me. I'm going to add a little bit of white over here in this mix where the green and the yellow are. See, I've got all these values. You don't try to mix the whole thing. Oh, I'm loving where that's going. Yep. There we go. Yep. To me, it's talking to me now, starting to sing. Okay, so let's, again, rinse the brush. And again, I don't care that it's 100% clean. I just want it clean enough. Okay, so I'm going to come back here with this red and orange, add a little more of that out here, add a little bit of the white. So now I'm looking at the apple and I'm seeing a highlight right in there. Okay, so there's a piece. There's also some over here. There's a little bit going back in this thing. Just a little line right there. Okay, so now I don't have a stem in there. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to rinse that brush out pretty good now because I'm done with it for now. And I have my other apple with the stem that I liked, but it's sitting over there. Okay, so I'm going to come over here with my burnt umber. I'm going to work down here in this water a little bit. I'm going to add some burnt sienna to that and a little blue. It'll make it very dark. It needs to be dark to fight against that. I might even add a little purple. I don't want it black, but I want a very dark color. Okay, so it's going to come from down here in the center. very light pressure. And as it comes up, it gets wider out here on the edge. There, okay? So now we'll add some highlight to that stem in a minute. But now we're going to come back. I'm rinsing that. That was a number 4 synthetic round. It's very small. I'm going to bring out, and I'm not using any bristle brushes on this because this is smooth stuff, and bristle brushes are really good when you're doing something rough. But when you want a smooth surface, you need something like that. A sable flat, a synthetic flat. Okay, so we talked about this before, about creating this shadow underneath the apple. Now you can see that this is not a good shape here, but I didn't care because I know I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to bring out some of this green over here. And so we know that on the color wheel, the opposite is red. I'm going to pull out some of this, I might just work over here, that I've already used in the apple. I'm going to pull some of that. There we go. Okay, so that's a very dark color. And I'm going to shape the bottom of the apple where it's sitting on the table. Okay, so then this came up here like this and then went over here. There. Okay, so that's a very dark color. That it works. Right here it's not as narrow as it should be. Okay, so now with this same color, I can add some white to that and lighten that shadow up. So that's a pretty decent gray, even though I don't usually consider it gray. But here we go. We're gonna Now, when you have your apple sitting on your table and it's lit up around it, you can see where the shadow is. I'm kind of guessing here at this point. There, okay? So now I can make it even lighter. Pick up some white on the edge of that gray that I already made with the green and the red. And I can come out even further with a little lighter shadow. Okay, now I don't want that harsh line there, although in my camera it looks pretty good. I'm going to go right over where the two join, very light pressure, and it will blend them together. What I don't want to lose is that really dark right there that shapes the butt of the apple. Now, here is a place where there's no shadow, and there has to be. It just will not work right. Okay, so I've let the apple dry. I'm going to rinse out my brush because I'm going to come back. When you're working with acrylic paint, it will dry duller and darker than you thought. So we're gonna, you can barely see the highlight there. So we're going to come back and re-hit that. I'm gonna use this same brush again. Here's where my highlight was. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to this part right in here. And I'm gonna start with the brush this way and come down, pull it away. Okay, so then there is some back over here. There is this piece right in here. There is, all I'm doing, I'm going to add a little more white, but I have to really mix that because I don't want white showing up on my apple. I'm going to add a little more yellow to that. And now a little more white. There we go. I say this all the time, but it's so funny. You're mixing, and then all of a sudden, boom, the color shows up. Okay, so there's a little bit going on right around in here. And you just want a tiny, you just need a touch there. Okay, so back in here, there's just a little piece. Okay, I want this brighter. There. Okay, that looks much better. Now I want some up on this stem. There, and now it shows up that stem, you know, like 100 times better. I'm going to come back, even though my brush, I'm not cleaning my brush, I'm going to pick up some of this reddish because I've got too much going on here. There we go. You can play with this forever. I don't recommend it. The more you play with it, usually the less happy you're going to be. So I'm looking in my camera. This right in here, no, it's this part over here, looks a little stilted. I'm going to rinse that brush. You know, it's really a good idea to use a camera like this because when you're looking right at it, sometimes something looks one way, but when you look at it through the camera, you see a completely different thing. You can also get the same effect if you'll use a mirror, turn your painting into the mirror, and you'll see things that, oh, yeah, that's awful. So I'm going to bring some of this green back up into some of this red. There, how's that look? I'm going to add a little white to that, just a touch, not much at all. I want it to be more opaque. I want that green to kind of cover that red. Too much water there. There we go. I like what we got going on there. I hope you like it too. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow over here to my green and a little bit of the white. I'm going to sit here and look, where's my light coming from? It's coming this way. So there should be some kind of something going on in here to where this part of the apple is lighter than that side. Okay, so we're just trying to put a little highlight in there. All I did was pick up a little bit of the white. Okay, I'm just mixing it off to the side. I want to get something going on right there. There. Okay. And I'm going to go with this again. You might highlight something 2, 3, 4 times because of the acrylic nature, because it dries quickly and it dries duller. So at any rate, here we have our drawn apple, we have our painted apple. Now I could and maybe should come back with some of the reds. Okay, and maybe clean up. But I don't want it to be so perfect. Because then it gets very tight feeling. Okay, and I don't like that. I don't want it to be. So now I've got a little piece popping out here. As I said, the more you play with it, the less happy you're probably going to be. There. Okay, so I'm picking up a little bit of the yellow. I'm going to pick, there's some water droplets over here. My brush is kind of dry. I'm picking up some of those water droplets. Going to add a little bit of white to that mix right there. There we go. Oh yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I particularly like it in the camera. Gonna make one more swipe on the highlight. So the pressure is what is gonna make it work. Very light pressure. You kind of make almost a comma. Pull it down, and then as you come down, you're pulling away, okay? Alrighty, so I hope that you learned in a painting like this, okay, we're not trying to make anything this is a learning painting. You know, the whole goal here is to learn how to use color, how to create form. Creating form is the most important part here, and we created the form by having this deep indentation right there to tell us that it's down inside, that stem is down inside. The light's coming this way because the shadow's over here. We have several layers of shadow color. And if we kept going, you know, it would get lighter and lighter as it went away. Creating the shape, you know, even though I didn't have the shape right here at the bottom when I drew it on and when I put the first base coat on there, when I put the underpainting on, I was able to fix it, not repair it, but complete it with a dark shadow. Anytime anything sits on anything, you see that dark right there, that dark shadow there? You have to have that darkest part to where it seats the item onto whatever it's sitting on. Okay, so again, we came down with red, we went up with green. We tried to blend them together, not so they would be perfect, but so that it looks realistic. Now, if I were painting a painting around this, I could clean up all of this edge out here and here with the background color. I can also, I could, you know, put there would be my background basically. Okay, so I would clean up this little piece right here. You can do a lot with your background paint. Now there are a lot of artists that do the background first and maybe leave a blank space for the apple, and then do the apple and then the bottom part and then the shadow. So there's a number of ways you can get it done. Don't think that because we did it this way that this is the only way. But this is just for practice and to create the form, to create something that looks 3D on a 2D surface. And in reality, the things that did that were this thing right here, this dark part down in here, the highlight on the stem, and the shadow. That's what created the round look of that apple. It wasn't the red paint, it wasn't the green paint, it was all these little things that's where the learning comes in. That's where the practice on this kind of a thing comes in. So it doesn't matter what subject you're using, if you used a lemon, an orange, a pepper, just a single subject, to where you're not trying to do all these things. You're trying to learn how to create form, and that's what this does. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you got something out of it, give me a thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell, and you'll be notified every week when I upload a new video. So thank you so much again. Sharon Durbin Graves, paintingwithacrylics101.com. Have a great day.